Hello and welcome to the UnCalled Four. We have a great show for you tonight. We're going to be working on the cult series. This is episode 3, and we are going to have a great time talking about how to get out of cults and everything like that. So let's get right around the room so we can get right started in. So let's see who's here. I'm going to start with Vishanti. Vishanti, how are you this evening?
Doing good. Just
Excellent.
Glad it's the weekend. I wish it was a little longer.
Me too. Well, it's good to see you here, and I can't wait to get started on this. And next up, we have Mipet. Mipet69, how are you this evening?
Yeah, doing really well, except it's morning over here, of course. You know, we are in the future. And it's turning out we're in over double digits, so I'm really happy. Yeah, we're having a good time. The weekend was great. So, yeah, really looking forward to actually having people that, as you said, know what they're talking about. It's going to be good.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Looking forward to it, yeah.
Thank you. I found some good ones, so hopefully. And next up, we have NoJustBe. B, how are you this evening?
Aimee, I am doing great. Got really lazy yesterday, didn't do shit all day, did all the adulting today, and decided I was invited for a birthday party, and I said, you know what, I just want to introvert. So I'm going to introvert. So that's my goal for tonight, is just introvert with you guys.
Awesome. Sounds like a plan. I like that idea. We'll talk about some good stuff that we can get, wrap our teeth around here too. So this will be good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Next up, we have DKG Custom. Doris, how are you this evening?
Oh, hello, fellow ladies. You can get your teeth out. I better put my teeth in, hadn't I? Now got my gnashers in. Now I'm ready. Ooh, give me a handbag.
That's awesome.
I think I pass perfectly as a woman.
I think so.
No one guesses.
No, they won't notice a thing, will they?
You sound like someone from the UK somewhere trying to do an old woman's voice. Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Better than an American trying to do an English voice.
That's bloody right.
Too bad you didn't specify which American, because some of us can do them just fine.
Yeah. There you go. Oops. Hang on. Sorry.
There you go.
No, you can't.
There you go.
So, can we have your liver then?
There we go. And next
You've all
up
got
we have-
accents.
Yeah, we do.
Except over here. You've all got accents.
Yes, I'm sure we do. I'm sure we do sound different. And last up, not least, though, we have Dick Dawson. How are you this evening, Dick?
Good.
Excellent.
Very much looking forward to a show where we get to hear from people that aren't talking out of their balloon knots. This should be quite interesting. I've still got beer in hand because that's just how it's done. But you never know, right? It might be needed. So I'm prepared. I'm good.
There we go. No, that's right. No, this should be a good one. I'm excited about this one. I was digging around trying to find stuff. And since we've been talking about cult-like groups a lot lately, I think this would be helpful information at some point. So I think this will be great too. So should we get started right into the videos? What do you think, Dick? Nothing needs to be in any order whatsoever. So
Okay. Well, here. How about we start with 7 tips for helping someone out of a cult?
Sounds perfect.
Sounds good.
All right. So let's switch right over and jump right in. You know the title. Let's see what they got.
Sure.
Hello viewers, in this video I'm going to be giving you my 7 tips for helping someone out of a cult. Now before I begin, I'd better mention 2 things. First of all, I am not a licensed therapist, and there will be people out there with far better credentials than me when it comes to helping people navigate cult indoctrination and deal with deprogramming. I'm just a guy who's been through the experience of waking up from a cult, has some knowledge of helping other people out of a cult, so I'm offering my advice on a take it or leave it basis. The other thing I just want to quickly mention is that this video was voted on by my Patreon supporters as a video that they wanted me to make. So if by the end of this video you've enjoyed it, you have them to thank. With all that out of the way, let me give you my first tip, which is to dial down your expectations. This may seem like a defeatist, pessimistic attitude to have, but the simple truth is that most people who get embroiled in cults do not get out of them. Cult indoctrination is extremely pervasive, and once someone has spent any amount of time in a cult, especially if it's years or decades, they end up so emotionally invested that the more time passes, the harder it is to pull them out. And that's why there's really no magic bullet for helping someone out of a cult, because if there was, this video wouldn't be needed, this channel wouldn't be needed, and in fact there wouldn't be cults, because everyone who had a friend or relative who wound up in a cult would be able to get them out easily. It doesn't work like that. It's very, very difficult to help someone appreciate that they're being lied to. So just for your own self-preservation and for your own benefit, to avoid disappointment further down the road, I feel it's important, if you are trying to do this, to accept that the odds are stacked against you and it's very likely that you won't succeed. And having that mindset will inform the care and the dedication and the discretion with which you approach the next tips I have for you. Tip number 2, remember what it was like when you were waking
he's
up
trying
from a
to
cult.
give
Now, I realise this
tips and
tip won't
information.
apply.
Could he speak any slower? Could he? every single piece of information is separated by a semicolon or even perhaps a full stop period. We could theoretically be here all night.
I just gave him a little kick in the speed up.
Like,
Okay,
good God.
good. There we go. But he is, the one thing that he is right is to dial down your expectations in anything, that you can generalize that information into anything.
That's like life, isn't it?
But pretty much. Yes. Well, it's like when you're trying to curb a behavior, with a child, you're not going to have success right away, or sometimes not even at all. So but it's true. I mean, it's just don't rush things. So.
Yeah, like it's easy to fantasize like you're going to show up and have a conversation and they'll see the logic and the error of their ways and realize they've been duped and they're going to run for freedom like a movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
doesn't work that way. They get programmed overnight. They're usually not going to just break it overnight. So
exactly.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
We'll have a little game for the viewers. See if you can guess the movie. There's nothing that can be done in a short time that can't also be done in a long time.
Especially when you're trying to make at least a 10-minute YouTube video. Like there's a lot of channels that I watch where I have to watch them at least like 1.5 because it's exactly what they're trying to do and it's very obvious. And I'm like, bruh, you cannot be wasting people's time like this. Thank God for the speed function.
Well, see, Gary Wybenga's in the chat, so we're not going to talk about Flat Earth, but Gary, maybe you should listen to this guy. He's talking to people like you.
Good call. Well, let's listen then. Oh, I just became Little Red.
To some of you, because not everyone who's watching this video will have been in a cult themselves, but if you have been in a cult, you will know how terrifying it is to have your entire reality suddenly get turned on its head. You will understand that in order to go through that process to begin with, in order to give yourself permission to look behind the curtain, you needed to feel as though you were in control. If someone else had come along and said, hey, there's this thing that you need to know, you're in a cult, but don't worry, I'm here to help you out of it, you would have immediately raised the barriers. You wouldn't have been interested because they would have been assuming control over your exit. You needed to be in control when you were waking up from a cult. So exactly the same applies to the person you're trying to help. They need to be in control of the process. Tip number 3, exploit opportunities, don't force them. So again, if you are going around ambushing your friend or relative, trying to remind them that they're in a cult and that they need to snap out of it, this is only going to raise the barriers. They're not going to be interested in what you have to say. But that said, depending on the circumstances, there will be opportunities that arise for you to have meaningful conversations. Now, this will depend largely on whether you are living under the same roof as the person you're trying to help. Unfortunately, if you're trying to help someone who isn't living with you, maybe they're even living miles away from you or in another country entirely, it's going to be almost impossible for you to exploit any opportunities to wake them up because they're just not with you. And unfortunately, this is why cults like Jehovah's Witnesses encourage shunning to begin with, because if you can cut off the communication, you can cut off any chance that other people have to influence them to get out of the organization. So if you are, however, living under the same roof as the person you are trying to help, maybe it's your wife or husband, there will always be opportunities. You just have to be ready when they come. If you approach things aggressively or in a way where you're trying to ambush them, again, they're going to raise the barriers. But if they approach you and they are leading the conversation and they're perhaps wanting to persuade you to come back to the organization, to return to Jehovah, well, there's your opportunity to share what you know in a very kind, very respectful way, and to just say, well, here's the issues that I have with, and here's the reason why I'm not returning to Jehovah. It's because of X, Y, Z. And then you can have a respectful conversation because they have initiated it. You are exploiting an opportunity that has been handed to you rather than going and forcing the issue. That's not to say there won't be times when it's just inevitable that you will open up an opportunity. In my own case, when I was trying to reach out to Deanna to wake her up or help wake her up, I was making discoveries about the Jehovah's Witness organization. I was learning about their child abuse scandals. I was learning about their track record with the United Nations and Mexico, Malawi, and all those things. And I inevitably wanted to share my discoveries with my wife. So in effect, I was forcing the opportunity. But because it was due to genuine excitement on my part, it wasn't like I was trying to manipulate my wife. It was just something, it was an epiphany I had, and I wanted to share it with her. So it wasn't, she didn't feel as though I was trying to manipulate her. I was just simply involving her in my discovery. So that's the exception to the rule with this tip. Tip number 4, compare and contrast with other cults. This, in my view, is one of the best ways
Pause for a second.
I feel like we should be commenting.
Yeah, I mean, he's talking about, he said he was in a cult, and he's now, he's talking about how he was talking to his wife about getting her out of the cult. Did I miss something? How was he talked out of the cult, or did he just self wake up or something and just realize it was all bollocks?
I mean, it sounds like that he did some, I guess, outside learning about the organization when he was talking about, the child abuse and stuff like that.
Yeah, but he was using that as a conversation piece to have with his wife. That seemed to be after he's left.
Maybe that's
I'm missing
one
something.
of the things that got him out.
No. All right. Okay. That was my bit.
Yeah, I felt like something got skipped a tiny bit there, because I wasn't 100% myself. The thing he's about to come on to, though, comparing or whatever, anybody in a cult situation is going to feel like some serious, I know better than you, Dunning-Kruger. Is comparison going to get anywhere? I'm wondering
maybe if it's a religious cult versus a conspiracy.
Yeah. I can't wait to hear what's coming next. Him with the Jehovah Witnesses and stuff, though. That's I just wanted to share God, and so it's not quite the same thing. Well, I mean, the whole thing of what makes them a cult, it's not just the religion, it's, the whole covering those things. So
right. Exactly.
Some people,
the shunning and
the shunning and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Okay, so should I let it run a bit more then?
Yeah, please.
Reaching through to someone who's in a cult, because there is an abundance of material out there about other cults that are very similar to Jehovah's Witnesses in a lot of ways. And some of these materials, some of these videos and films and documentaries, or probably the majority of them, don't make any reference at all to Jehovah's Witnesses. So they can't be considered apostate material. They can't be claimed as having come from opposers. So it's perfectly acceptable for a Jehovah's Witness to watch them. I'm talking about things like Leah Remini's Aftermath series. I'm talking about Louis Theroux's videos on the Westboro Baptist Church. There's an excellent documentary on Netflix called One of Us, which is about Hasidic Jews. There are any number of documentaries that are dealing with fundamentalist cult ideology. And by sitting down with your loved one and simply watching it without comment and just helping them understand that what they're experiencing with Jehovah's Witnesses is very common with other groups and that there are strange similarities, you're helping them to join the dots. And again, they are in control of the process because you're just watching information and leaving your loved one to draw their own conclusions. Tip number 5, make truth central to your arguments. So when you do get into discussions, perhaps because your loved one has approached you and they're trying to bring you back to the organization and they're trying to convince you that Jehovah's Witnesses or some other cult are the one and only true religion, it's inevitable that you'll get into debates about the beliefs and practices of the religion in question. And it's important that you don't get sidetracked from the central core issue of, is it true or isn't it? So, for example, your loved one could say, oh, well, you don't understand. In the organization, there is so much love, and you can go to a congregation anywhere in the world, and you will immediately have brothers and sisters who love you. And that alone, that alone makes it worthwhile for me to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses or a member of whatever organization you're talking about. But that doesn't make the organization true. Either the organization is true or it isn't. So no matter what kind of social structure they have, no matter what kind of opportunities there are to make friends, it's not really worth wasting your time if the whole thing is based on a lie. So when you do get into conversations, really cling to the central issue of, is it true or isn't it? And don't allow yourself to be sidetracked from that. Tip number 6, be prepared to offer an olive branch. Now, this may seem like an odd thing to suggest, but it's actually...
I want to bring up a point here quick. So he brings up, oh, but all the love and everything and blah, blah. And yeah, but that doesn't make it true. But that alone, to somebody who is feeling the need for that, is still a really hard argument to get around.
Yes, it is. And especially if they feel like that's what the main thing that they want to get out of that cult, and that's what they're feeling, then yeah, that's going to be very difficult to get around. And especially something that's wrapped in such a positive package as quote unquote love is, wow. Yeah. That would be a really hard one to get around.
Indeed. Just figured, it was worth bringing up for sure.
Yeah,
so he's
definitely.
at olive branch.
Especially as most of these cults will shun you, like you've already mentioned. And if you have got all these so-called friends in the cult you're in, and you are starting to question it, you're going to lose all them people who think you love them and they love you, and it's that's going to be very, very scary thought.
Yeah. And if these people truly love you, just for having a few doubts, shouldn't they be supportive? Not, it just...
You would think that, but to them, having doubts is considered temptation.
Yeah,
Temptation from the evil, or if it's the devil or a demon or whoever,
Yeah, that basically make you feel bad and make it out that it's your problem, not their problem. And it's something you've got to cure yourself of and get back, toe the party line, as it were.
They'll be fine with you having doubts, but only insofar as they lead you back into the group.
Mm-hmm.
If you get reinforced that you shouldn't leave, then they're fine with it.
Yep. Exactly.
Yep. It's craziness.
And
I think he's got what?
Gary in the chat, psychiatry and psychology is also a cult. No, it isn't.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Bloody idiot.
Different department of science, dude.
Yes. And it's
What
all
an idiot.
evidence-based.
Yeah. Just needed to point that out. Sorry.
Absolutely.
Just come on, Gary. Just name one cultish behavior in psychiatry and psychology. What the fuck are you on about, you drug-induced fucking moron?
The only part of that
I
that
want to know.
possibly could be considered cultish are the guys that are trying to what is it called? Crap. They do to gays and trans people.
Oh, the deconvert. Yeah, they try to convert them.
Yeah, reconvert or whatever they call it.
Yeah, deprogram.
Now that is fucking nuts, but not everybody does that. Otherwise, no, there's no cultish crap.
No.
Maybe you should look up the definition of cult and what that entails, because it's not so black and white.
So explain to us too, Gary, what's not cultish about Flat Earth. There, food for thought there. All right. Should we keep going, please?
All right. Yeah, last couple points.
Yeah, this would be good.
Right. I like Purple's comment. The olive branch is great because if it doesn't work, you can beat them with it.
It's quite helpful when you're having any kind of dialogue where both sides want competing things from each other. It's important to be at least perceived as being willing to meet halfway. And the benefit that you have when you're trying to reach out to someone who's in a cult is that you're right and they're wrong. So use that to your advantage. You can actually say to them, listen, if you can prove to me that Jehovah's Witnesses are the one and only true religion, if you can prove it to me, because that's all I'm interested in, I just want to know what's true and what isn't true. So if you can prove to me that Jehovah's Witnesses are absolutely the one and only true religion, proving it objectively with evidence, I would be willing to go to a meeting. You can make that kind of offer. You can offer that olive branch because they're never going to be able to prove that it is the one true religion. But at least by making that offer, you are showing a willingness to meet halfway. And finally, tip number 7, kill the stereotype. Whether you have been in this person's cult or not, they will perceive you as something less. They will perceive you as potentially evil, as wanting to lead them astray. They will think you're misled. If you're a former Jehovah's Witness, they'll think that you are being used by Satan, perhaps. All of these things can be debunked by seizing any opportunity to show love and kindness. So whenever an opportunity presents itself to go above and beyond to show that you are a nice, moral, kind, loving person, grab it with both hands. And this applies whether it's your husband or wife or whether it's your parents. This actually...
Does he mean the ass? Is that what we're grabbing with both hands? I just missed myself for a second there. He's kind of funny because a minute ago he was saying, if they're talking about love and everything, go for the fact that, stay with the facts. But now that's kind of reversed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's I mean, it's not completely, it's not like he flip-flopped or anything, but it's just I'm not sure how good at this guy is, to be honest.
Has he even done it for someone who's not in his immediate family?
Yeah, that's what I mean. And like Wodentoad said, he's a total neckbeard. So, there's not a lot of credibility going on here.
Oh, Wodentoad.
But I'm just not sure. Like, I can't wait to get to the next video because, we'll get some different points of views and opinions and stuff. And this could actually be really good.
That's why I picked the ones that I did too, because differing opinions is always good.
Absolutely.
Second, third.
Yeah.
You do that when you go to a doctor. Why not? Why not do that with information?
I was going to say exactly the same thing, Aimee.
Thank you. and I did notice that Gary in the chat did say, I know probably shouldn't mention him so much, but he did say that flat Earth is real science. But anyway, so we'll just move on and we'll just.
He's just here to help our engagement for the algorithm. I mean, I'm not complaining.
Thanks, Gary. I appreciate you, buddy.
So
always coming by and supporting the channel and hitting that thumbs up and joining in the conversation. We wish it was more aligned with our conversation, but
I noticed he never super chats.
Nope.
All right, can we keep going, Dick?
Yeah. Here we go.
Works well. If the person you're trying to reach, you're not in a position where you can speak to them regularly. Perhaps it's a parent who is shunning you. Even then, it's good to use any opportunity at all that presents itself to annihilate the stereotype that apostates are bitter, selfish, greedy, resentful. Use any opportunity. Maybe they're in need and they need your help with moving house, or there's just some way that you can show some kindness to them. Grab it with both hands, because if nothing else, it will make you feel better for being the better person. And you never know, it may just go some way towards convincing your loved one that you have something to say that's worth listening to. So those were my 7 tips for helping someone out of a cult. I hope you found some or all of them useful. I think it's
All right then.
That was it.
That was it. That
It was
it.
Yeah, some of that was really good, and I think the very first one was really the one that really stood out to me is to be patient, lower your expectations, because thanks motorcycle, but
that's my dating life.
I mean, let's be fair on the guy, because like he said when he started, he's not a professional. This is just something his channel members asked him to do a video about, and he's just basically expressing his thoughts on this subject. So yeah, we shouldn't be too hard on the guy.
No, and I liked
was
the
good.
video myself. It was, and I liked the video myself because of that, because he was a person who used his experiences to give us this information as well. So that's why I liked it.
There's also a superb video by a movie reviewer called Chris Stuckman, who just out of nowhere just did a video about him being Jehovah's Witness and leaving the cult and being shunned by his entire family and everything. It's an absolutely heartbreaking, superb story. Chris Stuckman, check him out.
Awesome, thank you. That's really awesome.
Maybe I'll go and find it and put a link.
Thank you, please. Yeah, that would be great.
I think that people need to remember, at least from what I've seen, the people that lean more towards cults are really needing a crutch. They need a big crutch. Their lives are shit. This is the people they prey on. So it's hard to take that crutch away from them. They lean on it so hard, So I think that's, you have to keep that in mind when you're talking to anybody. Like, I had friends that were Jehovah's Witnesses, and they just leaned so hard on it and were, all about it, and their lives were rough. And, I just saw that everywhere I've lived. Anybody that's been in that kind of, Mormons or whatever.
That reminds me that I should check in on my cousin, because his marriage was a JW marriage. I remember going to the ceremony. People were friendly, but they ended up divorcing a few years later. And then I don't know if the girl got remarried, but I don't know how religious he is, but we have never denigrated them, even though there have been times where his mom, my aunt, they've been a little bit standoffish and stuff.
Right.
But this is a good reminder for me to check in on him and just kind of see how he's doing, and take this dude's one of his tips for, I guess, whatever.
Yeah, you tell him. Yeah.
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 Yeah. You gotta lower your voice a little bit for that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's it. There.
Hi, Ben. My buddy's in the chat.
Oh, for anybody wondering, when DKG is in Doris mode, that's what we're dealing with in the background, people. That right there, that's Doris.
I'm such a pretty bitch.
Reminds me of my Nana. She was exactly that. I'm so serious. She told my mom one time to go to the store and pick up some things, and my mom goes to get paper so she can write it down, because it's stuff from the store you want to list. And my Nana goes, "Oh, you're not going to need that. It's only 3 things. I would like milk, vodka, and a carton of cigarettes." And I'm like, that's good vibes. But one of my favorite Nana moments is she used to have a little gold necklace, and the charm was the ass of a horse, like a literal ass. And my mom was very scandalized by it, because my mom's, a little bit on the conservative side. And my Nana goes, "Well, if the shoe fits."
She sounds like a great date. Hook me up.
Nana was amazing. I love her. This is actually the 2nd, I believe, anniversary of her passing. So I'm just damn it. Freaking Nana.
Aww.
The planet is a little less bright without her cussing off people on the road and smoking cigarettes and drinking vodka every damn day.
My Nana quit smoking at 88 years old. And then at 90 years old, she had cataract surgery and didn't need glasses anymore. It turned out that she just had minor cataracts her entire life.
Oh, wow. Damn.
And then she had a mild diabetes for years, and she did everything her doctor told her to, and she ate all the right diets and and that went away. And then she was an original Rosie the Riveter, and she died at 92 years old.
Yeah, my Nana,
she was a little shithead pistol.
Like,
she was, man. She was a little
at my mom and be like, "Well, Bobby, I've been smoking this long. I'm damn sure not about to give it up now."
Right.
I'm not a quitter.
She had to quit.
She's no quitter. That's right.
Because of her blood pressure and stuff. Because she had mesothelioma from underwater welding for the Navy in the Boston shipyards, and she was breathing in asbestos all the time and crap. So so that's why she quit. But I mean, she smoked from the time she was like 15 till she was 88.
A general shout out to all nanas while we're here,
right. Absolutely. Go Nana. Boy, that was off topic.
That's okay.
It was fun though.
It's all Dick's fault.
It's always Dick's fault. I don't know you have to talk right now.
Should I just point? I know we don't want to keep talking about him. Our sweet little Gowie. Gowie in the chat says the Roman Catholic Church is also a huge cult. Now you're getting it, Sonny.
Now you're getting it.
What took you so long?
It's funny because Gary Wabenga is a huge cunt, but
I hate it when that happens.
I'm gonna shut up.
Oh my god, that's funny.
Oh my.
Yes, and yes, I was running around. But yes, shout out to all the nanas out there. They're good, much better than science deniers. So
word. Word.
Yes. So should we go on to the next one, please, Dick?
Sure. I think this one should be the other side of the coin. Lessons from a cult survivor, and her name is Claire Ashman.
Now we're talking.
Please.
Go Claire.
That would be great.
Yeah. It is an 8-minute video. I do believe we will get through it. No problem. Let's check it out.
Yeah. Let's see about that.
Oh, wait a minute. I've got it all sped up, and this person might deserve, to be treated better. So let's see. Here we go.
Okay.
There. Okay. Yeah. I forgot we had dude sped up. He is a little bit of a slower talker, but what are you going to do? It's not like he's a jerk for it or anything. Here we go. Okay. Claire, tell us what you got. Oh, cool. It's like a live thing.
Can you remember where you were or what you were doing 10 years ago? Maybe you were still at school, in a relationship. Maybe you were still living at home. Whatever you were doing, hopefully it was of your own free will. A decade ago, I was 36 with 8 children. Yes, 8.
Woo.
And I was living free for the first time in our lives. Free from the strict regime of work, the commands of authorities. Free from the locked gates and barbed wire that fenced us in. It sounds like a concentration camp, right? It wasn't. That's life in Australia's biggest doomsday cult. Not only that, it was my second cult. When I tell my story, people say to me, surely you're not serious. Wasn't one cult enough? Like them, you'll be wondering how on earth I was part of 2 cults. You don't just wake up one day and go, hey, let's join a cult. Wouldn't that be fun? No, you don't. You're either born into a cult, forced into one, or manipulated into such a group. Growing up, my brothers and sisters and myself didn't realise that we were part of a cult. We just thought that we were a part of a super strict religious sect that wouldn't let us commune with the outside world. And by commune, I mean we couldn't have friends outside of our community, we couldn't receive letters, watch TV, or even read newspapers.
Tell us the name of the cult.
We were homeschooled, totally tucked away from society. As we neared teenagehood, Mum thought it would be a great idea for us to learn ballroom dancing, because how else are you meant to meet a suitable husband except through the waltz at 13? I clearly remember that
Okay.
first day. We arrived early, standing up politely with the best of awkward behaviour as each kid came in to be introduced. They looked at us like freaks. They'd come in wearing their school uniforms, shorts, jeans and T-shirts. Here I was, long sleeves, long skirt to the floor. Can you imagine how that was for us? I couldn't talk to these kids. What on earth was I going to talk to them about? They were laughing about school, TV, shows, fashion, and a side of Madonna's Like a Virgin that we'd not heard about in our good book. Shall we dance? So, why does one join a cult? One does not just join a cult. You never do. So if it's not a cult, what is it? Often they are personal development groups, community and support groups, sometimes even religious organisations. Friendly faces in a time of change. Are you aware that there are some 3,000 cults in Australia alone? 3,000? That makes up for some 600,000 members of communities. That's the size of Gold Coast and Tweed Heads together that are members of cults. We all have a time when we feel alone and directionless.
I found at least an article that is giving up the details because she's apparently not doing that right now. I'm just like, tell us the name of the cult.
Right?
All right. So, Mipet, if I butcher this place name, you're just going to have to let it slide.
Here it comes.
Kambuwara?
Canberra, yeah.
Kambuwara?
No, Canberra.
What?
No, it's not. It's Cam, Bewara. Kambuwara.
Oh, okay. That must be
Whatever.
in the middle of nowhere. Okay.
Well, most of Australia is the middle of nowhere, but I'll take it. She lived in the community of the Order of St. Charbel for the best part of a decade. She was chosen as one of the leader's mystical brides. She got herself out with her 8 children in 2006. She grew up in a very strict... Yeah. She already said she had 8 when she opened the video.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. Claire grew up in a very strict Catholic family who were involved with the Society of St. Pius X in rural Victoria. Let's see. She's going to go into more details, but that's at least the name of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I knew that there was the family over here, and that's actually the Family International. But there was a huge sort of bust over here, I guess you'd call it, and a load of kids got taken in, and a load of adults got arrested for various, crimes against kids and all sorts of things. So it was good that there was a clear out, I guess, but, it just keeps going on, and you've just got to keep fighting it. Cults, bad. Free will, good. What can I say?
100%.
All right. Shall we hear what more she's got to say? Or
Yeah. If you're into history, she kind of reminds me of Bettany Hughes. Just a little, but here we go.
And our perceptions are so out of sync that we are drawn towards people who have seemingly inkling of structure. It's never a cult that you actually join, especially if it's seemingly open. An open cult isn't what you typically imagine. Sometimes they come across as personal development groups, somebody with an idealistic way of life. You're curious, so you go check it out. I have a friend, Jane, who was in such a group quite some years ago. Jane had her own flat in London, had a job, but she was at the beck and call of the organisation. They told her when and where she'd move to and what kind of job she'd have. They had to be in common jobs in order to be able to meet new potential members. If it's a closed cult like the Doomsday Cult, it's easier to see the signs. They usually have a property away from town, there's a large group of people living together, and often their beliefs incorporate end-of-world theories. Whether it's an open cult or a closed cult, though, the signs you'll see in your friends and family members are the same. They eagerly talk about these new friends that they've got. They want to move to the community. They just can't wait to share the information that they've learned. So what can you do? Being in and coming out of a cult is exhausting. There is pressure, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically. There came a time when I'd had enough. I didn't know what to do. I had no support, no money, no direction. So I did the next best thing. I mentally checked out. It's similar to what the research says about women who mentally leave relationships 18 months before physically leaving their relationships. So I was physically there, mentally checked out, waiting for the right moment to check me and my 8 kids' bags out as well. When you can see your loved ones wavering, that's where you can help. Show you care. Wrap us in a hug. When I mentally checked out, I became a black sheep of the community. Not that I cared. But my kids and I snuck off the community one day to go to an outside church. There was an elderly lady there, Cynthia, who wrapped us in a hug. And to me, it made all the difference in the world. I felt finally somebody cares. That and asking, is there anything you can do to help? Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But asking makes a difference. Stay in contact no matter what or no matter how hard it is. My lifelong friend Mary rang me on a regular basis.
Just, and this can go, I mean, and this is huge, and I'm glad she actually said this part. No matter what you're going through, just knowing that someone else even just has an inkling of care goes a huge, long way. It's huge. And it helps with everything. So just having someone even just being there and saying, you know, just being there as your friend is huge.
Yeah. Feel free to vent at me. Yeah.
Exactly. Just knowing that, and knowing that they're there and that they care. And like she said, a hug, that to her was just the biggest thing for her. And I can see that. That is very huge. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Can I read a comment?
Mm-hmm.
This is from Gary Wabinga. The coming Antichrist will be the all-time largest cult, and many of you will follow him in devotion. That's about the biggest preacher thing I can do.
Yeah. No, we won't. No, we won't. We don't believe in God, so why do we believe in the devil, you fucking moron?
I like what Charlie's responded. Yeah, the Antichrist is Pratt, not following him, so no worries.
No, that's great. And then, in fact, I mean, no, it was John Eagle said, how do you know it will be a he?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. If the devil's going to come, it's going to be a woman, and she's going to be a fucking bitch.
And it depends on how well you know Greek, I guess.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm a wet blanket when it comes to stuff like this because, like, if you read Greek, it's using the masculine, like, pronoun case, but whatever, it's fine.
Right.
Oh, I thought she was going to be like a Greek woman or something.
Also, Commander was talking about this in the chat last week, and I'm still like, what the heck? Karen, he says, is Antichrist if you're Christian because he's using like the Hebrew spelling of that word, and I'm still just like, what? Yeah.
I wonder why.
I mean, I'm sure that this is supposed to relate to what we're talking about, but I'm seeing it again. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to go look it up again and just try to figure it out. But
yeah.
Now, I'm not having a go at people who might be religious. I mean, there might be people here on the panel who are religious. But the funny thing is, you know, the people who bring on the Antichrist thing or whatever, it's the religious fucking nut jobs who are saying we are going to be doomed because of Antichrist this and Antichrist that, but if you don't believe in God, if you're agnostic or atheist or whatever, you just don't give a shit because, and they're not the ones who are making these claims. They never make claims like that. It's only religious fucking nut jobs who sit around giving these messages of doom. You notice that?
Yeah.
So if you're giving us messages of doom, you've got to sit back and think about that for a while and look at yourself. Look in the mirror. Shut up.
Well, shall we play a bit more?
Sure, why not?
Sorry, Doris had a bit of a menopause there.
That's okay. Here we go.
She invited me to her wedding. We talked about our kids. She asked me about my life, but without constantly nagging me about when I was going to move out. When I was ready, she was there. Be open and accepting. When I re-establishing my life, I had to completely start over, move to a new house in a new area, and set about making new friends. Making new friends made me pretty nervous though, because I didn't know how I'd be accepted after my cult experience. I was so limited. I was afraid of being seen as ignorant and naive and not understanding something. I had to play catch up big time. I couldn't even use the computer or the internet. But when I took my kids to their new school, the teachers didn't judge me or them. They were very understanding and brought the kids up to speed. And then for me, I didn't find it so difficult to make friends after all, because I'm open about my story and willing to connect. As my friend Adele says, people identify with my resilience and find it in themselves. The crux of the matter is that cults and secretive groups fill certain voids that we all feel at some point in our lives. We all feel vulnerable and directionless at some point, and cults prey on that. But we can make a difference, because if we all take the extra time to truly listen to our friends and loved ones, their thoughts, their ideas, sometimes their ramblings, they won't search out cultish groups to fill that void. We will do that. Thanks to people like Mary, Cynthia and Adele, my life is now totally different. Freedom of mind, body and soul. The voids that people feel, I fill them myself. And now married to my new man, and in case you were wondering, we didn't meet waltzing.
Okay. I found myself kind of tuning out a bit when she was talking. I didn't get a whole lot of useful information out of that. Did you guys pick up anything that you really want to chew on particularly?
No, I think I had covered it earlier when she had said, about caring about other people and, just showing these people who might be trying to come out of this stuff that you care. It's like you do with anybody else going through any other situation. I think that was my main draw from that too. And she's lucky that she is able to reach out like that and to be able to make and meet new friends and everything. That's a huge thing too. Socializing people is really huge and really helpful. So we try to do that all the time because it's so easy to get isolated. And I think that's something that some people don't realize, but it's very easy to do. And especially right now with everything going on, it's very easy to become isolated and stuck within yourself. So,
well, I feel like she obviously didn't go into it much in her TED Talk, but this article that I've been skimming, it discusses how when she was raised with that very Western Christianity idea of women should be, subservient to the husbands and they make all the decisions. And if you do that, then, you'll have a happy marriage and all this stuff. And her husband is the one that actually got them involved in this community. And she had some misgivings, but when she mentioned that, he was like, you're just being emotional. Women are emotional. You have to base your, decisions on the facts and logic and, religion of the Catholic faith and theology. And unless you can base it on that, then don't even mention it, And what's interesting to me about that is she said that he's a first generation Slovenian. and was married to this whole idea of like small villages that are very like communal, where everybody has their little farms and they celebrate their little feast days together. So he has this kind of picturesque ideal of, you know, small communal life. And then he finds something that's very close to that and decides that that's where they need to go.
Right.
And then, you know, it was all about like the apocalyptic predictions. And the leader said that every month on the 13th that he would receive, you know, visions and messages from the Virgin Mary. And people would come out to hear all of his, you know, messages from her, apparently. And then the guy had, 12 wives that are supposed to be married to him. And then 72 like princesses who are married to other people, but they can have, quote, spiritual kids with him. Oh. So, yeah. Apparently, she says the babies would be conceived through a holy hug. And I'm like, oh, that's what the kids are calling it now.
Spiritual. Yeah. What?
Mystical
doesn't even.
brides.
So they just like little ghosty children, but you don't have to feed them. That's convenient.
I mean, mystical babies is starting to sound a lot like Mormonism.
Yeah, right. It doesn't even. No.
Yeah. And she got picked to be one of the princesses because, you know, obviously she was already married, so she couldn't be just married to the guy, the leader of it. She was like, why did you guys pick me? I didn't give my permission for this. Like, I didn't want to be picked to be one of your weird ass princesses. And yeah. And she found out, it says in January 2000, she found out what was really happening, that the leader of the cult was not impregnating the young women chosen as queens via a, quote, holy embrace. Well, no shit.
Yeah.
Holy hug, holy embrace. Like, no, that's not how babies happen.
No.
That's not how I do it. I'm going to tell you what.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So the guy was arrested and then sentenced to 5 years in jail for sex crimes against a minor. So I think y'all see where that's going.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ugh.
Sad shit.
But she initially was like, I don't want to do this thing. So, I mean, kudos to her.
Yep. Exactly.
Kudos, but tough.
I had a bad feeling about that.
No doubt.
Yep, exactly.
Well.
Yeah. So should we go on to the next one?
Oh my God. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, but I am sorry. Gary, you're not being oppressed by getting a vaccine or not getting it. This whole Antichrist, you can't buy or sell without the mark of the beast crap happens every single time any new technology or any new policy comes out. You assholes did it with 5G. You did it with the UPC barcodes. You've done it with microchips for your pets. You're trying to do it with vaccines and vaccine cards. You're trying to do it with every other thing that you just don't like and don't want to follow.
They did it when Mars bars got smaller. You know,
I mean, just saying, potato chips are mostly
That's where it
air
all
in the
started.
bag, man.
Yeah,
Gosh.
Exactly.
It all started.
Sorry for the English people.
No.
Crisps.
yeah. I remember
Where
you used to get a bag of crisps. It would be 30 grams. Now they're 18. What's the deal there? Fucking
Can't
Antichrist.
Gosh.
You're
And
all
twice as
wrong.
expensive.
Conspiracy starts with how do they put the creamy caramel into the caramel bar?
A
These
priest.
are mysteries of the universe. I mean, how many licks does it take to get the center of a Tootsie Pop?
5.
That's one hell of a tongue, Dick.
Oh, I just crunched them because, you know, I'm impatient, you know.
Who's Tootsie Pop? And have you got a picture?
No, I don't take
She's
pictures of
only
that.
available after 10 o'clock, so...
Yeah. If you want to see that, join my OnlyFans. Never mind.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we've got to do a show later, haven't we?
Yes, and we've got something right here. Get right in here, Maddie.
I love you, GPS.
GPS for $2 at GPS equals mark of the beast. TM. Truth.
Yep. Thank you so much. That was for $2 American. Thank you so much.
I
Thank
love
you
it.
so
Thank you, GPS.
That's funny.
Blame it on Caesar.
Yeah. Yeah, evangelicals, and they can't figure out what the mark of the beast is. It changes every 5 to 10 years, so let me know when you'll get this one figured out.
All right. We'll be here waiting.
Like, you can't buy or sell. Okay, sell. Like, you may not be able to go to the grocery store in person to get your, crisps, but you can sell shit on eBay. Nobody requires you to have a vaccine to sell shit on eBay. You mong.
The mark of the beast is the Lamborghini logo.
Oh, okay.
Mark of the beast.
It's those gay frogs that Alex Jones talks about all the time. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Mark of the beast. Not just Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg with his Wahlburgers.
Wow. Yeah. That's so South Park with the Aspergers. Just awesome.
Oh, Aspergers.
But, so we've got choice now. We've got a beardy bloke who has advice to family, friends of cult members. We've got a long-haired dude that says how to get someone out of a cult. My my friend, family member is in a cult. Okay, there we go. And we have another dude with how to rescue a loved one from a cult. The Strategic Interactive.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah, and this is the guy with the website and everything as well. So like this might be some there might be some good stuff to his. So where do you think we should land?
Should we do his first?
Sure. All right. So
just Jutmonkey in the chat. Good evening.
Hey, Monkey.
Oh no.
Monkey.
Everybody in the chat, cover up.
Yeah. It's gonna be flung now.
Yeah.
He's saying he loves the girls. I hope he especially loves me.
And
Moving
Sir
on.
Little Wolf, scratch behind the ears, love.
I always read his comments in his very unique accent. Like, I hear it in my head.
I have people I do that with too. It's hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah. Anytime Radical posts anything on Twitter or community post or whatever, I totally hear it, his voice.
Yes.
But okay, so I'm gonna play this dude, right? He looks like he could be intelligent. Let's see. Let's see what happens here. Let's try it.
Hello, Steve Hassan, here to explain a little bit more about the strategic interactive approach. We have a link to an earlier video I made a few years ago explaining the evolution from deprogramming to exit counseling to the strategic interactive approach. But I wanted to just put in this video some essential things to think about. That this method that I've developed is highly customized to fit the specifics of a person's situation within the context of a particular controlling person or group in the context of society and the world. And what I want to do is understand as much as I can about who the person was before. And then I want to meet with family members, friends, and assemble a team of ethical, trustworthy people who genuinely care about the person. And we want to meet for a couple of days and do an intensive where I not only learn everything I can about that person and their family of origin and dynamics, but I also want to teach about cults and brainwashing, social psychology, about communication techniques and strategies that work, as well as evolve a strategic plan for how to organize the resources.
Is he selling us a method, or is he going to tell us what to do?
And ethically hone in and empower the person to think for themselves and make their own decisions. So one essential key.
At this point, Vishanti, I'm scared he's going to say, but wait, order now. Like,
that's exactly the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah, that's just what I was going to say. Yes,
because he's
sign up to my 10-course.
Yes,
10-course
exactly. He's using a bunch of like corporate non-jargon speak that doesn't,
Well, thanks to our resident researcher Aimee here, we also have his website.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And I thought this is perfect timing. So about us, services. They have services, resources, online courses.
Hooray!
Yeah, books. Here, let's see what the online courses says. Okay, available here. Okay. So each course is supposed to be $30 Canadian, but they're on sale right now at $16.99.
Because
What a bargain.
And you get a 3.5-hour video. And this is supposed to be the basics.
See, this is a man who wants to help for only $16.99.
But he still might be good, right?
He might be. And he doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't care. He doesn't actually care. He's making money.
Nope. He didn't care.
Oh, here. My life in the Unification Church. So let's see here. Oh, it's a thumbnail video. Look at that.
The Unification Church, isn't that the Moonies?
I'm not sure. Oh, there's a PDF.
The thing is, at least Jesus didn't charge people for the Sermon on the Mount. At least he was free. Got wicked
That's
t-shirts
funny.
there.
Okay. Chapter 2 it starts at. I wonder why. I want. Okay. So should we go back to his video here? Because I'm seeing some long-winded stuff here. Here. Let's pull that back. Here we go. Shall we let the horse do the talking?
They are the Moonies.
They are the Moonies? Okay. Wow. Interesting.
Si, senor.
Let's let him go. Okay. I recommend tequila. I think it would go good with this.
Strategic interactive approach is that it's not about persuading the person to leave the group or to leave the person kind of right, wrong, all or nothing frame, but it's a learning, growing frame that's heavy on the emphasis to learn how to communicate effectively, heavy on developing rapport and trust skills as well as activities to build that relationship, and asking very pointed, directed questions in a loving, curious manner, and giving a long silence that provokes the person to really answer it going on inside, where whatever they say, we ask for more information so that the theory and my experience is that our best ally is the authentic self of the person, and that deep down inside they want to be free and they don't like to be manipulated and suffocated in a totalist relationship or group, so that if we engage that person, they will tell us what they need in order to make that move to step back and begin to be open-minded to learn about mind control, phobias, other groups. So it's all customized. It does take a lot of time. It does take a lot of effort.
Just trying to sell his seminar book? What was it? 3-hour video?
Yeah, well, there's a lot. I mean, they've got intervention and recovery services, education workshops and training, testifying and consulting. So, I mean, basically, if you've got cash, he's got a way to get it from you. He's got it all figured out here.
I'm not surprised his videos are like 3 hours long, because how long have we been listening to him so far? And he hasn't made a fucking point.
Right.
It's going to be one of those videos. You listen to his 3-hour video, and you'll be listening to it, and then it will suddenly end, and then it'll go. And in the next video, we will talk about blah blah blah, and you go, I haven't got anything yet.
We haven't got anything.
Yeah.
Right.
All I've got is a desire for alcohol and something better to watch.
I'm just being brainwashed into your cult.
Yeah. I wonder what he's a PhD in.
Send me his name and I'll find out.
Yeah, I was going to say, we can Google him. We got some Google pros.
Here, I got his press kit out.
I've got his OnlyFans site.
Mental health professional, he gets called.
Former member of the Moonies. Founded X Moon in 1979. Went to Cambridge.
I've been to Cambridge. It's very nice.
Yeah, he doesn't really want to tell you on his site. Pictures. Yeah.
Cambridge lists him as an alum. He graduated in 85 in mental health counseling. That's what his master's is in. So at least he's a like a degreed counselor. Got that going for him.
That was almost a Caddyshack moment. So we got that going for us.
Right.
Definitely.
I love what Martin H just said. Is it just me, or does it look like he's wearing one of those joke shop fake nose and spec thingies? Yeah.
Yeah, well.
Looks like, does look like it.
Yeah, I think the eyebrows are attached as well.
So should we hear a bit more? Or like here, there's 1 minute and 24 left. Shall we give him a chance to say something? I can speed it up a tiny bit.
You should put in a poll as to whether he'll actually make a point.
Oh, Jen, good idea.
Jen.
Yeah.
Is he going to make a point poll? Do it.
Let's listen to Groucho Marx a little bit more.
All right, here we go.
Take financial resources, and it really takes a commitment. My cases that are successful are demanding in the sense that people have to make a space, a compartment in their life to make it a priority. They still may have to work, and they still may have a family, and they may have other children, etc., but they need to dedicate themselves. And I try to complete a case from 3 to 6 months, or maximum a year. If people really roll up their sleeves, I'm willing to commit to help them. And again, the idea is not pouncing on them or making them meet for a 3-day surprise intervention like exit counseling was or deprogramming was. But this is more like engaging them to become curious and motivated, to be open.
I'm calling it right now. This is Noonien Soong's idiot brother.
Minded, do research on the internet, and going to meet other people. And it's very effective. And a number of my clients this past few years have said, hey, if anyone wants to talk with us, we'll be happy to share our positive results. So thank you very much.
Oh, I'm doing it. Oh,
ouch.
It's done.
I mean, that was, okay. I don't mind a lot of talking when there's information, but.
Now, here's the question to all the viewers and the panel. Should we dive into the Shills kitty and get one of his videos and see if he's actually got anything to say?
I mean, let the ladies decide. Ladies' night.
Sure.
Doris?
Find me a video of a nice young man in bare chest.
Oh
my God.
I'll tell you what, maybe someone else should pick.
Gary.
Was
Gary. Oh, sweet,
Gary.
precious little Gary.
Gary.
Allow me to yet again explain something.
Okay.
Comparing things that are not actual Nazis to Nazis is not okay. You know what you did. Just because you don't like doing something does not make it Nazism.
Yeah.
Okay, let me say that again because I don't think you're going to get it the first time. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean it's Nazism. Okay? Fascism and is not stuff you don't like that's in the public health interest. That's not what fascism is. Being slightly inconvenienced is also not fascism.
No.
So
nor is bad
you
dress.
can say, what did I do? I'm being censored. If this is a fascism channel, I can't believe you would put me in timeout. What did I do? You know what you did.
Yeah, but at least he was only following orders.
Exactly. And I had already put a post into explaining to him what he did. I said, we don't do the Nazi thing here. Please do not equate what is happening now with the World War II era. You know what you did. Knock it off.
That's right.
And there's literally
you're going to get your ass in
around
timeout.
today. They're actually doing legitimate neo-Nazi shit.
Exactly.
Vaccination cards are not that.
Yeah, grow up, you little tit.
Yeah.
So, why don't we go from little tits back to the cults, the big tits?
There we go.
Right? I mean, we're talking, Paul Bunyan's fucking head tits here because it's cult stuff. But we do have, so we have how to get someone out of a cult. My family friend member is in one. And advice to family friends of cult members.
Let's hope it has actual advice.
Yeah. You want to do that one and try it and see if it actually does?
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what we get. Here we go.
Awesome.
Make sure I hit the buttons properly.
Hi, my name is Chris Shelton, and I am a cult survivor, and now advocate against destructive cults. I was involved for decades with the Church of Scientology, but I've found since leaving that group 4 years ago that high-control groups which engage in undue influence or coercive persuasion have a lot in common. If you're watching this, you may know someone who is in one of these groups and want to know what you should and shouldn't do to help them see the error of their ways and get them out of that group. Now, I'm not a trained psychologist or a psychotherapist, but I have helped people escape from Scientology, and I've helped some others recover. Let's go over some things and see if some of what I've learned can help you too. First off, there are two things we need to go over that are very important. People are free to believe whatever they want, and as long as they aren't breaking the law, they can act how they want. It's not your place to take control of anyone else's life or how they live it. Tolerance and respect are not just words, but are shown through actions. And if you're going to help someone out of a destructive cult, you have to demonstrate these things to them. People who join cults aren't Martians. They have simply adopted a different and extreme belief system, which can lead to extreme and alarming actions, which may not be in their best interest. Over time, these beliefs and ideas can reshape the person's personality to something quite different from the person they were before, and more like the cult leader and its doctrine. But don't ever forget, they are people too, with the same range of thoughts and emotions as anyone else. Second, not all groups with odd beliefs or practices are destructive cults. Before you take action against the Church of Cthulhu or the Center for Enlightened Sacrosanct Therapy, be sure you know that it is a coercive group. Don't assume anything because you know where that leads. Cult specialist Dr. Janja Lalich put together a checklist to evaluate a group to see if it is what we call an abusive, self-sealing social system. A link to the full checklist is in the video description below and includes 1. The group displays excessively zealous and unquestioning commitment to its leader and, whether he is alive or dead, regards his belief system, ideology, and practices as the truth. as law. 2. Questioning, doubt, and dissent are discouraged or even punished. 3. Mind-altering practices such as meditation, chanting, speaking in tongues, denunciation sessions, and debilitating work routines are used in excess and serve to suppress doubts about the group and its leaders. There are many other characteristics to look at, to be sure. Just because a group acts cult-like doesn't make it destructive. And just because people are passionate about something they're involved in doesn't mean they're brainwashed. These 2 points,
This guy's awesome.
tolerance.
Yeah, he's really laying it out ahead of time to make sure that the points have validity and merit. It's really well done.
If
How
you
long
guys
have we
don't
gotten
know,
into the video so far? Just, I want to check.
oh, sorry.
How long are we into the video?
We are 3:29 in and 11 minutes to go.
In 3 minutes, he has made more points than that Cambridge guy made in the whole video.
So those
Absolutely.
of you who don't know Chris Shelton, Chris is great. He was in it from, I think, the time he was like 16 or something. I don't know. He was really young and got into Scientology and lived that life, blah, blah, blah. And he knows a lot of shit. He's very intelligent, very nice guy. And he does his own podcasts and stuff and call-ins where people call in and talk to him about it and everything. So you guys should check that out if you like what he's saying.
Yeah, and Clive Wells says that Roxy Lowry has a series of interviews with him on her channel. So
there you go.
Yeah, this guy's like legit. He's not trying to steal shit. He's not, trying to be vague and whatever. He's like laying it out. I'm like, give it to me.
No, yeah.
Let's do it,
Yeah, that's totally how he is. And he's been everywhere, all over through the atheist community. He's talked to like Pale Blue Mama and I don't know, just so many people. So many people he's talked to about this. So if you just type in Chris Shelton on YouTube, you'll find all kinds of videos. So, but yeah, he's got a
Awesome.
weekly streams he does.
That's cool. Yeah, I remember him when Roxy did did the interviews with him, and they're really good.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Carry on, Dick. Sorry. Dick fell asleep.
And ensuring the group is destructive in the first place are crucial. If you skip them or don't respect their importance, you only have yourself to blame if your actions recoil on you. Now, with that in mind, the first piece of advice I can give is to educate yourself. There's a lot more to know than just Janja Lalich's checklist. There are books and lectures online by reputable and knowledgeable authors. Some examples are Robert Lifton's Thought Reform and the Psychology of Totalism, Steve Hassan's Combating Cult Mind Control, Margaret Singer's Cults in Our Midst, Robert Cialdini's Influence. When talking to someone in a high control group, don't antagonize them, get into name calling or labeling. Don't call the group a cult or fanatics or that sort of thing. Just skip every temptation to do any of that. Also skip throwing around any psychiatric terms, like calling their leader or members psychopaths or even mentally disturbed. Imagine how you would feel if someone said that about your job or your church. That's exactly how they're going to feel. I mentioned Lifton earlier. He's a psychiatrist, and he wrote, "There is need for psychiatric humility here. I think it might be stressed that the whole cult phenomena is a social, psychological, spiritual, and economic problem, and that the answer may not be psychiatric at all." Arthur Diekmann, a San Francisco psychiatrist, also wrote in his book, The Wrong Way Home, "I began to see that cults form and thrive not because people are crazy, but because people have two kinds of wishes. They want a meaningful life, to serve God or humanity, and they want to be taken care of, to feel protected and secure, to find a home. When someone joins a high-control group, it can sometimes be hard to talk to them or reach them at all. So everything I say here about this applies whether you can only talk to them once a week, or once a month, or every few months. This also applies to written communications as well as in person or on the phone. It's important not to cut your connection if you can, because once you do, you may not get it back. Encourage communication in any form possible. Even mundane conversation is better than nothing at all. The point of maintaining communication is so they know that under any circumstances, you are a safe place for them to go. Be open and honest, but at the same time, listen more than you talk. Get them to tell you why they're part of the group, what it gives them, and why they feel it's important. Do not hint or imply that you're interested in joining, more that you're curious and simply want to know more about why they joined or what they feel about it. They'll usually be very happy that you're curious and will tell you way more than you ever wanted to know. You're not going to argue someone out of a cult situation in 1 or 2 conversations.
Yes.
It doesn't work that way. It can take years to get someone out of a destructive cult, and you're just going to have to deal with that fact. More often than not, the trigger that gets someone to get away is not because someone talked them out of it, but because the cult itself does something to the person which forces them to see that it's not the nice, benign group it pretends to be. You being a safe place for them to go to means that you will be the first call they make for help. Also, don't send them links to critical articles or clippings from books or magazines that you think are going to show them how bad or evil the cult is. Just be patient, helpful, and caring more than argumentative or confrontational. Ask questions about things that don't make sense and see what kind of responses you get. More often than not, they'll brush off the more irrational points of their cult's dogma or beliefs, but merely bringing them up as questions can sometimes be enough to plant seeds of doubt, whereas arguing won't. You can also ask questions about how their life has changed, whether they're still in touch with friends or family members they used to be in touch with, whether they still do activities they used to like doing, go out and see movies or read books, things like that. Reminding them of their pre-cult life and persona is important, but should be done subtly. Along this line, always try to keep them up to date on what's happening with family events or gatherings, events such as weddings or new babies, and that sort of thing, keeping them in the loop whenever possible. Questions about how they like their current life, their schedule, and the leadership of the group are also good ways to get them thinking about their current situation compared to past situations. Finally, you can ask if there is anything about the group or their situation that isn't so great or they don't like so much. But don't be surprised if the answer is, everything is wonderful in this best of all possible worlds. Just forget deprogramming or anything associated with using the cult's own tactics against its members. That is ineffective at best and harmful at worst. More often than not, deprogramming doesn't work and makes things even worse. It's the sort of thing.
Hold on, that's a pretty bold statement, because doesn't it work to slowly work a person out of the cult mindset? Or is he meaning more like don't try to do it instantly?
Well, yeah, he's saying that because cults work on deprogramming people, that you trying to deprogram them as from a cult is going to be difficult because cults are so good at it.
Oh, okay.
So you have to do one step at a time and ease into it and ease more into their life and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. Okay, good.
It does. Yeah, it's like what we do when we do the behavior stuff with our kids. You don't just go all rah right in there. You start out with the small steps. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. High Inquisitor's got it too. All right. Well, I'll let him keep rocking because he's, he's got this going on. Pretty good.
You can't come back from. And we already know about it from the experience of people who did this nonsense in the 70s and 80s. Every one of them that I've talked to has told me to just skip it. You don't need to be an expert on the cult language or beliefs, but do try to get a basic understanding of what it's all about so you don't inadvertently offend. Sometimes family and friends can get very deep into this and spend hours and days and weeks trying to learn all about the cult and what goes on in it. That's really not necessary. You're not going to argue someone out of their beliefs by coming off like you know more about those beliefs than they do. Trust me, that is a losing proposition 100% of the time. Even if you win the debate, you lose the argument and the person. Sure, engage with them if you really disagree with something, but just be mindful of what you're doing and how you are doing it. Care and love and tolerance are going to win you much more ground than proving their beliefs wrong. If you want an example of what I'm talking about, check out an interview I did with my mom, who managed to stay connected with me for years when I was in Scientology, and she had left it behind. The cult was encouraging me to disconnect from her, but I didn't because she did what I'm talking about here. The link to our talk is in the video description below. As a friend or family member, if you're talking to other family or friends, try to stay coordinated so friends and family know what each other are doing and saying, and don't randomly take some action which throws everyone else off. In fact, sometimes you may not be the right person to be communicating with the cult member at all. If things are tense or get tense between you and the cult member, maybe back off for a bit if they have someone else they trust more or have a closer relationship with. In some groups, the members may think the leader has psychic abilities or powers to know what they're thinking and doing. This may sound silly, but trust me, it's not. Other groups monitor mail and phone calls or demand that members report what they talked about with people outside the cult. You may need to let them know that you're mindful about that and you want to respect them and that you don't want to cross any lines or get into anything that will get them in trouble. Research into whatever destructive cult you're dealing with should give you some idea of whether this kind of thing is going on or not and how to deal with it. Obviously, if during the course of contact with the cult member you find out they're breaking the law or committing crimes, you need to contact the authorities. None of this advice is meant to say that you should violate your own principles or morals. But, of course, keep it to yourself if you alert the authorities to potential crimes within the group, or you can be sure the cult member will never ever want to talk to you again. And finally, make sure when you're talking to someone in a cult that the cult is not all that you talk about. I like my job and I like movies, but I don't want to talk about them all the time. Like I said earlier, even mundane conversation can be helpful and is better than nothing. Now, a few last thoughts. Before you even think about doing something like an intervention, get the assistance and advice of cult exit counselors and therapists. Also do this to help if the person leaves the cult. Do not ever, ever, ever tell someone who leaves a cult, "I told you so," or "it's about time you came to your senses," or in any way try to make them regret their earlier decisions or ideas. You gain nothing and potentially lose everything you've gained when you make a person feel stupid or bad or wrong.
For just a moment, please. I was going to say, this guy, a lot of what he's saying can be boiled down to don't be a dick.
I was just going to say, I'm so glad you're pointing this out, Vishanti. I was just thinking, at the end of this, I'm going to say, you know, all of these things he has said are just good general rules for being an adult. Like, really. Yeah. You know, don't pry too much. Don't be a dick. Don't tell them they're wrong. Don't put them down. I mean, that's just called being a friend and family. I mean, really.
Right. That's just common courtesy. I mean, but I've noticed, too, it's also been a running theme through tonight, if you've noticed, too. Just be kind and caring to these people. That goes so much further than being a dink. You know?
Yeah, I mean, you should do that to your fellow human being on a given daily basis, on any given daily basis. That's
practice
just how
common
you should
courtesy.
be. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. You know, be nice. That's my one rule in my house is always when we go anywhere or anything, I have one rule and it's be nice. And it works.
There you go.
Well, and they're mentioning Ranty, which is kind of a funny example because Ranty's English. He takes the piss out of himself, you know, so everyone's not over here rubbing his face in it like, you used to be so dumb. He'll take the piss out of himself and he has some fun with it and is kind of lighthearted, you know, but people have been really just generally very cool to him. And the same thing with, you know, seek truth, speak truth.
Well, the flat earthers haven't.
Well, they don't count. But yeah, it's like nobody
they dropped in like a bad penny.
Of course
like,
they did.
Like any cult. Yeah. This is what we've been talking about in Scientology, Jehovah's Witness. If you turn away from them, they will drop you like a bad penny and shun you.
And we're seeing that now.
Yeah. And that's what happened to Ranty. That's what happened to Ranty.
Yeah,
the difference is it didn't fucking affect him. He didn't care because flat Earth is meaningless.
Yeah, and it's that same shunning, that
it's the exact same
cults
behavior
do, and stuff like that. And Ranty, but the thing is that they, in effect, kind of deprogram themselves, but they had people, kind of like conspiracy cats to just be generally a nice guy to hang out.
He was the olive branch.
Yeah, he was just a generally decent chap to them and, didn't speak down to them or whatever. So once they started kind of doing their own, work behind the scenes, they felt comfortable enough to talk to him and keep the communication lines open. And once they were like, hey, wait a minute, I think I've changed my mind. He was like, oh, that's really cool. And he, didn't rub their face in it. So that's a very good strategy. We've seen it work twice already. It's good for other cults too.
I think the difference is Ranty himself. In the same way as we've heard these people talk tonight, Ranty started to see the shitty behavior within his own community.
Yeah.
And that started I think that was the thing that started to put questions in his mind.
Yeah.
And so when you have like a decent guy like Conspiracy Cats or me, I'm a decent guy.
Not like that bitch Doris.
No, yeah, she's a right cow. She is. Yeah, but the thing I forgot what we're saying now. Yeah, but it got to that point where Ranty was starting to see the shitbags in his own community, and Conspiracy Cats, decent guy, passes out the olive branch. I think they were probably already talking about doing streams together on different subjects.
Yeah, and Ranty also
just came out.
Didn't he go out to Blackpool and take his own photos and kind of do the work on his own? And that also was like, all right, it kind of just pushed it over the edge.
Well, no, it was a photo. It was a photo someone else took.
But he did go out and do it himself, though. Because they were
Bev did.
Bev was it was Bev's photo, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Bev confirmed the picture that Ranty was using. It was taken by a professional photographer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, hey, if it worked for Ranty, if it worked for Seek Truth, there's hope. They're not all complete lost cause. Just the ones making money off of it or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about that.
This Shelton guy, I think he went to the Conspiracy Cat school of being a decent person. So
Exactly. And Conspiracy Cats, his attitude, like we were talking about, goes such a long way. He treated them like adults. He didn't treat them like, to talk down to them or, act like an ass, like we've been saying. So I'm noticing a theme here. This is good.
I mean, the funny thing is,
they went and hung out and shot pool together and just did stuff as normal people. They didn't have to talk about flat Earth all the time. So that's exactly what this guy's saying. Like, just be a normal friend. Don't
see. The funny thing is, in the early days of flat Earth, I didn't treat flat earthers like idiots. I would talk to them like a grown up, but my God, they wore you down really fast to the point where you just say, oh, for fuck's sake, grow up, you fucking moron. And it just gets to that point. It really does.
Yeah, it's true.
So we can't all be conspiracy cats.
This is true.
I mean, I've got hair.
Books are exhausting. It is absolutely 100% accurate.
Yes, especially the ones that deflect and then turn it back on you. It's like, and the other day I did talk to Chemo. I think it was last Wednesday. I talked to Chemo confronted him about all what the flat earthers were doing and stuff like that. And it was a very hard conversation to have because I was trying to remain calm because you know how I feel about all this, and you know, doing something to kids as a mother, that's just something you don't do. So I was talking to Chemo about that, but he kept throwing it back at me every time I'd ask him a question or make a statement. One of his biggest was, well, you are the ones that are hurting children. As if to use this to justify his behavior. You can tell that he's so deep in that rabbit hole that he will do anything to justify what they're doing to continue to perpetuate this flat earth crap. And he kept saying that to me. Well, you're the one hurting kids. And I
you want to
almost lost
the ultimate end of that. The ultimate end of that, Aimee, was up in my area today. Well, 4 hours north of me or whatever, but anti-vaxxers protesting the mask and the vaccine and stuff went into public schools, and an entire city's schools were in lockdown.
Oh God!
Oh my God!
You know,
you're harming our children. Who is?
There's a black hole.
Exactly.
There's a black hole at the center of our galaxy, and all these people could just round themselves up and just fuck off there, please.
Yeah, that would be great. And I want to add to what Dick said too. And this is the same thing that happened to them with those protesters at the school is the exact same thing that I was upset about seeing them in front of my son's school, because they could get to that point. They are, you know, if you feel so strongly about, you know, vaccines and stuff like that, to stand out in front of a school for hours, what other lengths are you going to go to? Are you going to go further? Are you going to keep pushing your luck? What are you going to do? You know, so it's, yeah. This is a really frigged up year we're living in right now.
I'll say it for you, Aimee. It's fucked up.
It is fucked up. You're right. And it's just complete and utter bizarro world. It's really weird.
You know, like all these people keep saying that the education system indoctrinates people. It doesn't seem to have worked very well. I mean, honestly, God,
indeed.
You know, if we were being indoctrinated at school, we'd go along with all this shit. No, there's just these fucking idiots out there who fell asleep in lessons or around the back of the bike sheds having a cigarette and not going to classes. Something happened. I don't know what. I'm going to shut up.
But you were right, though.
No, yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Well, the funny thing is they say that without irony. It's the funniest thing. They say, well, it's indoctrination, but then they want to push this flat earth into kids' faces so much that what is it? What are you doing? You know, it's incredible to me.
Yeah, it's true. People just don't know how to think anymore, I swear. God, it's crazy. Or I don't know if it's that it's gotten worse or we just have more access to it because the way the internet is these days, you know. I mean, really, I feel like most of this shit's been going on for a long time.
I think it's a combination of things. I think it has got worse because of the nature of the internet.
Yeah.
I think it's a combination.
Social media really has amplified a lot of it. So before, you know, social media really took off, the voices wouldn't be amplified as much. You didn't have quite as much reach. And then, you know, something goes viral or it picks up a bajillion likes, and, you know, suddenly all these people that never would have heard about it are getting it thrown into their algorithms, and you know, it spreads literally like a virus.
It does. Yeah, exactly. It spreads just like the virus they deny. It's the funniest thing.
Yeah, that part.
Yeah. Yep. So, but yeah, I think you're right though. I think it is a combination of all of it. You know, we're exposed to it, so we see it more. You know, so it's. Plus, you know, there are more dumb people out there. They keep reading. And then you have, you know, and then it's also it's popular to be, you know, contrarian. So you get that too. And it's popular to be stupid. So this is evidenced by, you know, some of the crap we see. I'm not going to say any names, Gary Wybenga. Oops.
Yeah.
Did I say that out loud?
Commander is saying, like, you know, the young
Bad,
kids
Amy.
on the school board, where a lot of these right wingers are either interrupting or, you know, getting these school board meetings shut down, and then they kind of ended up like taking over the school boards. Like, guys, they know that you have to start the ground game. Like, don't give ground to people who are actively, you know, conspiracy laden, you know, harmful folks. You know, if you have a way to also show up to, you know, whatever school board meeting or whatever the heck the small things are, they let them protest outside, but don't let them take over the board and be the only people running for those positions. Like, give enough of a damn to at least tell your friends and neighbors, like, hey, we need to, you know, make sure that we're cooperating to make sure that these wackadoos don't get their wackadoo ideas up in the school policy.
Good. We can't. And, you know, the ones that have the more destructive sort of it's us against them attitude are the ones that are going to bunker down in places and get themselves entrenched too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the worst thing that can happen.
Yeah, and they're the only ones that are getting serious about it. Like, yes, they're scientifically and demonstrably wrong about what they think is going on, but they're actually putting in the legwork. And that's why you have situations like this where, how could this school board, you know, say that masks aren't blah, or you don't need a vaccine, blah, blah, blah. That's why. It's because the people that are, you know, having the most extreme beliefs are worming their way in. And everyone else is like, I can't believe this is happening. Well, then stop it. Goodness gracious. I know nobody really cares about the school board. Like, that's only a step above the PTA or whatever, but guys, you have to at least give half a damn.
Exactly, especially if you're sending your damn kid there.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, and it is funny. It's the funniest thing, because I always tell every new set of teachers that we meet, you know, I'm sorry, but you know what's going to happen, don't you? I say this every time we switch schools. You're going to be tired of me by the time this kid's career here is done.
All right.
Because I'm always constantly there to make sure that everything is okay, you know, and everything is on the up and up.
As you should. That's your child.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm always in every single meeting. We go to extra meetings. I used to go every week.
Yeah.
And, you know, or just send off a quick email even, you know, ask, you know, so we know what's going on.
You're invested. You know, you're invested in a way that is actually benefiting your kid. And it sucks that parents feel so stressed out that school is a way for them to kind of dump the kids off for a few hours while they go find a way to pay the bills. And it sucks, you know, and then you've got obviously teachers who definitely for sure need to be paid more. Because they're having to do double duty with education, but also sometimes they feel like babysitters. I mean, I've worked in public and private schools before, and there are really good days where you love what you do and you're like, hell yeah, I got to, you know, share information, and these kids are learning and they're learning how to, you know, question the world. And then there's bad days where you're like, I'm just a babysitter. I don't get paid enough for this.
Right, because all you're doing is addressing behaviors. And it's
right. Oh God.
Yeah, and I understand that, and I especially understand that at Matt's school, because I used to help in the classrooms and stuff, and used to go on the field trips and stuff. Try corralling kittens; it's really fun. You know, so it's
exhausting.
I understand. Yeah, it is. I went home and I was like, oh my God, I'm not doing that again.
Right.
But of course I went back. You know, it's people don't understand that. Yeah, there are going to be times when it's going to be really bad for you, you know, so be a little bit easier on the teacher, but always stay involved. You know,
Yeah, and
make sure that the school is sick of you by the time your kid's done, but make it, like I did. It was a joke that I said that because I'm just there all the time. We just get to know each other, but that's a good thing.
Right. And exactly what Purple's saying in the chat is that, everyone says teachers should be paid more and that our schools need to improve, but then we vote against tax increases that would actually get money to the schools. So
exactly.
It's got multifaceted fronts, to tackle. It is only that, teachers need to be paid more. It's not just that schools need better investment. It's not just, that our careers feel like they choke us. It's a lot of those things plus more. So it takes a lot of different people and types of personalities to address the thing that they're the strongest at, which makes me sound like an idealist, but whatever. At least I believe at least something can be done, even if a lot of us don't try to make it happen.
Right.
But I'm totally with you, Perp. Like, it's not just the teachers, because, you have physicians who go through all those years of medical school and they're being like, hey guys, get your vaccine. What the heck is wrong with you? And then there's people who are nurses or medical attendants who didn't have to go through as much school, who are anti-vaxxers. And you're like, how can this be?
Right.
Lots of different fronts.
Yes, there are. There's so many different facets. Right. And like you said, with the schools, investing in schools, yes, is a good idea. But just to throw money at it won't help. There's so much more that goes behind that you have to work on. What are you going to use that money for? What is it going towards? What are you going to fix with it? What are you going to implement? Training? Or are you going to implement something else? And
because I've seen schools in the area where I used to live, where they get like a huge donation or their budget gets increased or whatever, and then they build a new football stadium, and I'm like, guys, what the
what is that helping?
Stop. Can you please at least hire more staff, because the teacher to student ratio is way too high,
Right. Or like in Matt's situation, in some of the schools, we need more paraprofessionals that can go around with the kids and help them out with their behaviors, so that we can get them more mainstream and hopefully eventually get them to be mainstream, so they won't need the special education department, which you're always going to need anyway. So you're going to have to keep that staffed, and you're going to have to keep them trained, and you're going to have, especially in the new, however, all the behavioral things that they need to know and stuff like that in there. So there's so much. And I looked at it the other day and I was like, oh my God, I need to put that down, because I'm exhausted already just looking at it. What needs to be done. And it's really hard. I
think we've mentioned this before on here, just discussing the way that we do schooling. And I feel like Martin H. is getting really close to that idea. Says that arguable whether the points for and against flat earth or young earth creationism should be taught at schools to make sure that kids are armed with the facts rather than falling for nonsense. Because we've mentioned this before, it's how you do the schooling. It's not just presenting information and asking people to memorize it for a test, because that's not really internalizing it. If you're doing something like science, what you want to do is teach the kids how to do the process, how to test stuff, how to document what they learn, how to ask, the kinds of questions that are going to get them the answer they're looking for. And that equipping them to do that is a lot more useful than asking them to memorize a bunch of things just for a test. It's not that easy with stuff like history, because history is very difficult to come to, like, I guess what you would call objective conclusions. But you can equip people to do it in the same way. You can say, here's what a primary source is. Here's how to look for reputable commentary. Here's how to find shit in a library. Because you go to that one trip in the library where you meet the librarian and they show you around and tell you where everything is and how to use the card catalog system. But that's only part of it, because we have the internet now. So there's a lot more scholarly things that you could search for a lot quicker. So teach kids how to go to, Google Scholar or whatever, and teach them how to navigate the ridiculous ass JSTOR system.
I should quickly point out in history, our school, they did actually teach us how to look at the information and how to, take it as balance on, where the information is coming from and who said it. It was very, very clever on that point. I do remember. That's the one lesson I remember.
That's awesome.
I do remember learning about this is what a primary source is. Blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
But it's only as an adult where I've really had to go back and refresh myself on that, especially because, propaganda and all this stuff is really widespread, and it spreads way more widely and faster than it used to. So you can't just click on any old article. It needs to be from a source that is verifiable and reputable, Right. You don't want to go, what is it, Newsmax or whatever? You don't just click on their shit and take it unquestioningly.
Exactly.
But because I do a lot of my ancestry work, I work with primary sources a lot, So if somebody said they're related to XYZ person, well, that's nice, but do you have the document that shows that? And until I can find the record that says so-and-so married so-and-so on this date, here's their parents, here's their grandparents, here's the location in the city, I'm like, did it really happen? So that's actually, it's helped me in my genealogical work and my way of approaching science. These two things have fed into each other, because spending so much time around you guys has taught me back up everything. If somebody makes a claim, they need to provide supporting evidence for it. And it's stuff that's scientific, like the shape of the earth, but also stuff like your ancestry. It all ties together, and that's really helped me. So it's this community rules. You guys are so awesome.
Yes, and it's taught me that too. And it also, I had to refresh my memory about all those things, like the primary sources, the secondary sources, and all that stuff. I was like, oh my God, I had to dig through all my schoolwork to find it too. Right. God, all my notes. But it does, and it's amazing. It's helped a lot, and but I've also been able to use it to even teach Matt, like when we got our vaccines and everything, to teach him about misinformation, how they were going around. And there's a video, and I showed him, well, there's this video going around that says you're magnetic after you get your vaccine. Yeah, and I said, well, this isn't true, and I said, how would you find out? I said, well, I told him all the ways that we can do it. We can always check with our sources, and we can also experiment with that. Yeah. So as part of the experiment, of course, we're chasing around the house with a magnet. Get away from me, mama. I said, once I caught him, I got to show him that he wasn't magnetic. And I'm not magnetic, he goes. Right. So that was... But it was a way to show him, and of course it had humor in it, so it really stuck with him. Exactly. Yeah. And get away from me.
You should have put some double-sided tape on it, and then it would freaked him out.
Man. And I use that to explain, how some things are easy to verify, but there might be some things that aren't. And I showed him how to look it up and everything, and who to talk to, and who to ask questions of and everything. And hopefully it helped a little bit. He'll probably have to teach it again next month, but that's okay.
But hey, I mean, at least that's stuff that you can do yourself, exactly. What are the conspiracies always say, do your own research? Well, you literally can do this in your house. I could go to my kitchen drawer right now, get the silverware out, and test whether I'm magnetic or not. So it's you're just believing whatever you were told. No, literally, I tried to stick a spoon to myself and it didn't work. So
I chased my kid around the house and tried to stick a little cloud magnet on him, and it didn't work.
I should point out, I don't think silver's magnetic.
But yes, you're right. But I do have magnets on the kitchen fridge that I could attempt to stick to myself, and I don't think that would work either.
I had one shot in each arm just so I could do that, so I could just stick tools to the side of my arm and just walk around all badass with wrenches and screwdrivers hanging off of me, to no avail.
I feel like even if I was magnetic and was able to stick tools to myself, I would still manage to lose them when I'm fixing things around the house.
Or I'll run into a wall and knock it off.
Because like every time, what is it like? You're taking apart something and you put all of the little, screws and nuts and bolts in a little tray, and then somehow you put everything back together, and you're like, wait, I've still got one extra. How did this happen? This is the mystery of our time. It's like, God damn it, I gotta take the whole thing apart and put it back together again.
I don't know.
And every mechanic in the side chat just screamed in unison.
Yes.
It's even worse when you put something back together again and you suddenly realise you don't have enough. You put a screw in a place where it's not supposed to be.
God.
I'm missing a screw.
Missing one extra. It's like, no.
It always you have to start all over again.
Yep. It's like you put your screwdriver down, you come right back to it a second later and it's not there, and you're like, what? How?
Mm-hmm. It used to be worse. Someone would wander off with it. I mean, I'd set it down and like 5 seconds later it's gone because someone would wander off with it. Yeah. But
I love it. She said in the side chat, if I were magnetic, I would get a job in the mint. I didn't take those coins. They just stuck to me. That would give a new definition to sticky fingers.
Yes, it would. That's great.
You said that, I thought of that old Lionel Richie song, Stuck on You.
Yes.
Yes, that's great. Purple Rhymes with Orange says, since I got vaccinated, I'm afraid to go in the kitchen. What if I get stuck to the fridge and can't reach my phone to call for help?
Exactly. You got to use your 5G chip.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Got the hotspot, man. Fuck
That's right.
Oh my God.
If you've had the vaccine,
and
if you had the vaccine, all you got to do is...
I sat down and then I got up and it disappeared.
Yes, that's awesome.
Oh man, that's good.
Oh my God. You guys are too much.
Yes, exactly. And Gibby Gib mentioned too that I think they call that teaching critical thinking. Unfortunately, there is so much incorrect information out there that looks official. And if their parents are telling them something different, that's right. Like said too, if you get stuck to the fridge, at least you won't die of hunger and no one will complain if you empty it. That's right.
Modern problems require modern solutions.
That's right.
See, that's not true at all, because if you're stuck to the door and you manage to open the door, you can't reach into the fridge. It doesn't work. I've tried it.
How long are your arms?
Not that long.
Depends on what kind of fridge you got too. Because you can leverage yourself and push it. Believe me, I've
just the fridge door, you could still get in the freezer, right?
Yeah, or vice versa.
If it's the ones that, don't see.
And you got feet. I told Matt I was going to stick him to the fridge one day if he was magnetic, because he was. Dude, he wouldn't hold still, and I was like, hold still when I stick you to the fridge.
I know we need to wrap soon, but that reminds me of a story of this guy in I think I was in middle school. He was causing some classroom disturbance. He was kind of a behavioral issue for a little while, and I remember the PE coach duct taping him to the wall. And it was obviously in jest, but I remember seeing the picture of this dude stuck to the wall with duct tape.
Yeah, apparently that's called abuse these days.
I know.
Well, school was much more fun back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Boy, wasn't it? You never knew when you were going to go into class, act like a dumbass, and get pulled out in the hallway to get your ass paddled. You just never knew.
Yeah, the old chalk thing thrown at you, and can't do any of that now.
No,
you can't just take your kids out in the hall and beat their ass,
Yeah. In my grade school, the president had the principal had him too, had a love seat in front of his desk, and it was like really low and far away from his desk, and we all were like it's so weird where it's sitting. Like, does it have any use? Well, we found out later when we got in trouble, it was a kid catcher. Because this guy was like 6'3" and an ex-football player, and when he paddled you, he hit you and you flew into the love seat.
Jesus.
Oh my God.
So it was a kid catcher. That's what we figured out.
Oh, okay. So you didn't go flying into the wall.
Right.
That's good to know.
No harm, no damage. Only hit him in the ass. That's right.
That's funny.
Yep.
My father went to Catholic school when he was growing up, and they were always forever because he was such an ass. I don't know where I got it from. He used to throw the eraser at him all the time and catch him right in the head every time. He would tell me all the stories about it when I was out in the garage with him. And
yeah, they used to do that when, I remember I was in kindergarten and they smacked my hand and made me use my right hand and said the left hand was the wrong one.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And so now I can write with both hands. I mean, neither one of them are neat, but I can.
Yeah.
Because you got broken fingers.
Right.
Damn near.
Yeah. Yeah. They did that with Dad too, because he was a lefty. And they made him write with his right hand. And his handwriting was awful with his right hand, but he could with his left, and it a little better.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But he had to practice though, because he later on in life he was into drafting when he was at BIW. So yeah, he had to learn to write nicer.
Yeah. Yeah, I just write everything in capitals, just smaller and bigger capitals.
Yep.
And then it's readable. So, yep.
Yeah, that's how he did it too. It was easier for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I use proper capitalization, you can't read anything that's small. You're done. I can't even read it. So,
yeah.
The easiest way to confuse a teenager nowadays, put them in a room with a dial-up telephone and write the instructions in cursive, and they'd be fucked, I can tell you.
Oh my God.
Keep them busy for 4 hours trying to what is this code I have to decipher?
Way longer. There's some really funny clips on the YouTube with that happening, and it is just bloody hysterical.
Yeah, just kids screaming at the phone.
No idea.
Hey Google. Hey Google.
Yeah.
I know.
Damn it, Google.
I've got no idea what a dial tone is, or it's just.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about the dial tone.
Yeah.
Well, see, but I work from an office with landlines, so I hear the dial tone all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no, when those old phones hung up, they didn't go boop, boop, boop. It's like,
No. Chunk.
Yeah.
Or you'd ring a fax line and get the beep, boop, boop.
Oh my God, it's so loud. It's painful.
Yes.
It's painful. I remember when we were kids, we had a party line, and the lady that we had to share the line with was this like 82-year-old woman. And she had a friend, and I think it was like Helen and Margie or something like that. I don't remember. But it was something really obvious like that. And we get on the phone, and we pick up the phone, and they'd be like just chatting away and laughing. And we'd be like, excuse me, Helen? Yeah, I got to use the phone. Oh, okay, I'll be off in a minute. You wait 2 minutes. You'd have to get on and tell her, this is an emergency. I need the phone now. And she'd be like, fine. And like she'd been on it for like 8 hours. That was how she was. So you had to like kick her up. And then she was mad at you, but you didn't even really know who she was. It was just weird.
Yeah. That's great.
Such a part of each other's lives, and all you knew was the first name or whatever. Yeah. So fucking weird.
That's funny. I do remember those. I barely remember the party lines, but I do remember all the other stuff.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Call somebody. It's really important. You leave a message on their answering machine. Wait for them to come home from work. Oh, but wait, they stopped at the bar on the way home. You don't know where they are.
Exactly. Anyway, it is now 7:11 by my time.
It is. So let's get right around that room. let's get started. All right, so I'm going to start with Mipet. Mipet, what did you think of this evening so far?
Yeah, not too bad. I've got my notes right here. The Get Out of a Cult, I've got my little story here for that. Since COVID started, we don't get door knockers over here anymore. We get mail sent to us, like handwritten mail. And it's usually to the occupant or to the householder. So I cross out everything and I put not at this address, return to sender, and then on the back I put I ate the occupant or the householder, whichever one, because God told me to. So, and I post it back to them. So I'm
Mipet's getting evil.
Well, I did used to have a sign on the door saying, knock on the door and you will open a portal to hell. So, and that was really effective for people knocking on my door. Something came up about nanas, I think, because I've just written here, well, I'm a nana to 3 3/4 kids. So
that's right.
3/4 of a kid?
Yeah, my daughter's going to be popping around Christmas time.
Oh, okay. So they're not.
Yeah, I'm going to have it.
I knew exactly what she meant. For some weird reason, I knew what you meant.
Yeah, I'm having another grandson.
Only like 6 months along, right? 8 months along, right?
Yeah.
Yep. 3/4.
So looking forward to that. Woohoo! And then finally, remember, cults bad, free will good.
Yes, that's right.
That's all I've got to say.
Important.
That's right. Exactly. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So B, how did you think it went tonight?
Ooh, that was a lot of information. Most of it good. Of course, I've watched Chris Shelton many times, so I was kind of had a preview of what he says and how he is. So that wasn't too much of a shocker to me. But no, it's good to focus on the positive stuff and how to help people and, get a little serious deep into it here and there. So yeah, I think it was good.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. So how about you, DKG? What did you learn tonight?
Oh
yes, yours.
I'm not going to I can't keep that up. It was interesting, very interesting indeed. I mean, the thing is about, I'm not too sure. I mean, are we seeing a decline in religious cult? I mean, because a lot of people, are losing their religion as time marches on. It is a natural progression. And so we're seeing a decline in religious cults, but cult mentality seems to be on the rise. And that's what I find kind of disturbing. Interesting thoughts tonight, interesting discussions, interesting videos. Also, don't forget to check out that Chris Stuckman video that I posted in the chat earlier.
Yes, thank you.
Can't be bothered to do it again, but it's a really good video, a great insight to a guy being honest about how he left Jehovah's Witness and what happened to him. So good night, ladies, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. That was great. And next up, we have Vishanti. What did you think?
I feel like some of the speakers were very not useful, but there were a few that were. Like Shelton was very useful. Lots of practical advice, good information, wasn't trying to sell anything. So I quite enjoyed his segment. So
yes,
I like his methods. Yeah, for sure. Me too. His method of, don't be a jerk face, actually become friends with people, show interest in things, like just have empathy and be a decent human. Quite like that tactic.
Yes. I did too. I really enjoyed that tactic as well. It really worked, and you can generalize it anywhere. I mean, it's not just for cults and stuff like that. I mean, you can just generalize it for anything else and say, well, instead of being a dink, I'm going to be nicer, and it's amazing if you are.
That we're roasting ourselves here, because a lot of people in our little niche of YouTube like to have the arguments and the debates and whatever. It's entertainment, whatever. I get that, but offline it's far more productive to not be a jerk if you really want to change your mind. So props to that guy for sure.
Absolutely that was great. And last but not least, if he's there, Dick Dawson, what did you think as well? If you're not there, that's okay too, because we can just end the stream. So, and it looks like he had to chase kiddo. So I'm just going to say to everyone,
chasing kids. Yep,
exactly. That's what I was thinking. So we won't have credits tonight or anything like that. I'll just have to jump in and end the stream. But I just wanted to say thank you to everyone in the panel for coming tonight, and everyone in the chat for coming as well.
Almost everyone.
Yes, almost everyone. So I do want to thank you all so much for being here. We thank you, and I hope you all have a good whatever time of day it is for you. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Peace out. Snacky s'mores.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
See you next week.
Please.
Take care. Peace out.